Hi, here I am in my forest. Just got back to Malmö, and so many thoughts and experiences that moves in my body, and I felt for spontaneously talk about boundaries and embodiment and complexity of nature, which is a totally different subject, though it's the core of everything. Like the core is, of course, our mind, our belief systems, right and wrong, the belief about right and wrong. And the thing is, it's easy, it's easy to sit and talk about this. We can read about books that we are all one, or the nature mind, nothing matters. There are no boundaries. In some perspectives, like we should just float out in spaciousness, in nothingness, nothing really matters and everything matters and all that. That's a nice bypass. For millennia, that's been a nice bypass. We've been disconnected from the body, denying sexuality, denying life force energy. And many traditions for a long time has been about transcendence, to leave the body, to hang out in the multi-dimensional realms, spirit worlds, the oneness, bliss, and all these beautiful experiences we can have when we go into deep meditations. But it's impossible, it's impossible to live in such states being a human being. It's impossible. They just don't go together. It works if you're in a cave or in a monastery. But as a human being, we can't be in those states. There are only states. There are only temporary experiences, and they can last everything from a second to weeks and years. Most likely we have glimpses of them. And I can feel there is a shift happening. There is a shift of more embodiment. So we can call it masculine and feminine energies. So the feminine is starting to awake again. We start to actually realize that, hey, we are in a body, we have this body, and it's quite nice. More and more sexuality is coming into the field, at least the field where I'm in. I can see there's been a shift for the past years that is growing, and it's getting more and more accepted. And more people start to realize that actually we have to go in to get out. There is no other way. And I feel it's an integration of heaven and earth to live from the heart. And it can sound like a nice cliche, living from the heart is all love. But actually, when we really dig into the dirt, when we go into our shadows, when we go into the body, when we feel it all and express it all and embrace it all, then love naturally arises. Or purity, or I don't like to box in love because it has so much values on it. It has so much. It's just, I don't like to use the word love because I get like ugh sometimes, and even though that's the best word to express it. So anyway, different story. When we go in and really dig into the dirt, to the shadows, or to the vulnerable parts of ourselves, then spaciousness and love and an energetic of unconditional arises. And we become more free. But there is no fucking shortcut to become free. There is no shortcut. You have to do the work. You have to dig in. You can't just transcend everything. You can do it to a certain extent. There will always be one piece missing. always. And the paradox in so many spiritual traditions, it's like, oh, we are just love and it's oneness and beauty and light and fluff and rabbits and bunnies and one big family, which, yes, on one plane that's true. But what the fuck is unconditional love? That's also to dig in, to go deep in and to let everything arise that want to be arise. That's love. That's unconditional. That is to embrace everything. That is to love everything, isn't it? And when we are so brave and courageous and dare to, go into this, life becomes so much more pretty and easy and sweet. And I see how this floats together with boundaries and the structure of ego as well. Because we have to do the journey, we all have our traumas and our fears and desires, and we've been hurt and heart's been closed, and so we have to take baby steps. We have to first learn to set healthy boundaries, to express ourselves and put a frame where we know we are safe. And it might happen that after a time when we've been on this road of yes and no and mine and yours and this and that, and it might come to a point where we have dug so deep into ourselves, we put our boundaries, and we might see there is actually nothing really to protect. And it takes time, and there is nothing I recommend to just dig into and force oneself through. It's a natural process that happens on its own, in our own tempo. Because at one point we realize to actually limit ourselves is too limiting. And there is an impulse, a longing, a craving to do different, to be different, to experience different. And then, when that natural impulse comes, then we can really surrender to the moment. We can really surrender to the divine, or whatever we want to call it. We can really surrender to that what is. And that also comes with, when that natural shift happens deep within, then it would simmer out in our relationships in the world, and our boundaries will, shapeshift a little bit. And of course, I don't say that we should not have boundaries and say yes to everything. I mean, with saying yes to everything is also to say yes to ourselves. But it has to be a natural process and not this spiritual bullshit of I'm all in acceptance. I mean, I used to play that game. I know that game very well. But it's a mind thing. It's a fear of not being accepted. It was from a place of, I'm in this environment and I should act like this. That's where I came from in that moment. And then I came to a point where I was like, this is bullshit. This is just bullshit. And within so many arenas, we tend to, doesn't matter if it's spiritual or normal or whatever, we often shapeshift to the form which is set because we want to be accepted. And that's the nature of who we are. So my encouragement is to dare and be brave enough to really go in and feel and express in a combination of discovering the nature of mind, the nature of thought, the higher realms through meditation, through whatever, maybe ayahuasca or other plant medicines, but to really dare to dig into the soul, because that's where we really face love.